For more than half a decade, American Restoration stood out as one of the History Channel's most distinctive reality series. While many shows focused on competition, conflict, or manufactured drama, American Restoration offered something quieter: the careful preservation of history through forgotten objects. Old soda machines, rusted gas pumps, weathered signs. Items most people would pass by without a second thought were transformed into pieces of living Americana. At the center of it all was Rick Dale, a craftsman whose passion for restoration felt genuine, methodical, and deeply personal. But despite steady popularity and a loyal fan base, American Restoration ended suddenly. No dramatic farewell. No final season announcement. Just silence. For years, fans have asked the same question. Why did American Restoration really end? The answer has far less to do with ratings and far more to do with what was happening behind the scenes. When American Restoration premiered in 2010, it was originally introduced as a spin-off of Pawn Stars. Rick Dale had appeared multiple times on Pawn Stars, restoring vintage items brought into the gold and silver pawn shop. Viewers quickly connected with him. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He was patient, skilled, and deeply respectful of the objects he worked on. That authenticity resonated. The History Channel soon realized Rick Dale and his shop, Rick's Restorations in Las Vegas, could carry a series on their own. American Restoration officially launched, and almost immediately it found its audience. The show's format was simple but effective. Each episode followed Rick and his small team as they restored antique items for collectors, museums, and private clients. The process was slow, detailed, sometimes frustrating, but that was the appeal. This wasn't about shortcuts or quick flips. It was about craftsmanship. As the show grew, so did Rick's business. Rick's Restorations expanded. More employees were hired. More complex projects came in. And with success came pressure. As American Restoration gained popularity, the production demands increased. Longer hours, tighter deadlines, more dramatic storytelling expectations. What viewers didn't always see was that Rick wasn't just a TV personality. He was still running a real business. A business with payroll, rent, equipment costs, and employees who relied on him. Balancing television production with day-to-day operations began to take a toll. And that strain didn't stay confined to the workshop. One of the defining aspects of American Restoration was its family-centered environment. Rick worked alongside his son, Tyler, his brother, Ron, and his stepson, Brettley. On camera, the family dynamic appeared supportive, even warm. Off camera, however, those relationships were under pressure. Rick Dale would later publicly confirm that family conflicts and internal disagreements became increasingly difficult to manage as the show progressed. The stress of constant filming, business growth, and personal expectations created friction, not just between employees, but within the family itself. In 2014, viewers noticed something strange. When American Restoration returned for a new season, several familiar faces were missing. Rick's son Tyler was gone. So was his brother Ron. His stepson Brettley was no longer part of the show either. The sudden cast changes shocked longtime fans. At the time, no detailed explanation was given on air. But later interviews and public statements confirmed what many suspected. Serious family and business disagreements had taken place. Rick Dale would later state that these conflicts were deeply painful and that the show had begun to negatively impact his personal life. Despite the changes, American Restoration continued. A retooled version of the show aired, with new staff members and a slightly different tone. But something had shifted. The original heart of the series, the tight-knit, family-driven workshop, was gone. Viewers noticed. Ratings began to decline, not dramatically, but steadily. And behind the scenes, the pressure only increased. Another factor contributing to the show's end was financial strain. While reality television can bring exposure, it does not always bring financial stability. Running a restoration shop is expensive. Materials are costly. Labor is time-consuming. Mistakes are expensive. Rick Dale later confirmed that the business struggled financially during and after the show's run. At one point, Rick's restorations faced serious economic difficulties, ultimately leading to the shop's closure in its original form. This financial pressure added yet another layer of stress to an already fragile situation. By 2016, American Restoration quietly stopped airing new episodes. There was no official cancellation announcement from the network. But it became clear that the show was over. Rick Dale later addressed the end of the series in interviews, explaining that the combined toll of family conflict, business stress, and personal burnout made continuing impossible. In his own words, the show had stopped being enjoyable and started becoming destructive. Perhaps the most surprising part of American Restoration's ending is this. It wasn't cancelled because people stopped watching. It ended because the cost of continuing was too high, emotionally, personally, and professionally. Rick Dale chose to step away. Not from Restoration itself, but from the version of it that television had turned into. After the show ended, Rick Dale largely stepped out of the spotlight. He continued restoration work privately and focused on rebuilding his life away from reality TV cameras. Over time, Rick also reconciled with members of his family, relationships that had been strained during the show's run. In later interviews, he made it clear that while he appreciated the opportunities American Restoration gave him, he did not regret its ending. For him, walking away was necessary. American Restoration remains a reminder of a different era of reality television. An era when craftsmanship mattered, when patience was valued, when history was preserved, not manufactured. Its ending wasn't driven by scandal or failure, but by the very real human cost of turning passion into entertainment. And that is the shocking reason American Restoration ended. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments your thoughts about the American Restoration that ended.